lawyers that use AI will outperform and be more successful and have a lower risk profile, be more compliant than lawyers that choose to do it as they've always done it.
I think it's because a lot of people don't exactly know how it is used, so they're worried about their data, their privacy being invaded, of it having access into places it shouldn't have access to.
I think a law firm or an in-house legal team that isn't using AI right now is way behind an institute, a law firm or institution that is.
Welcome to the App for Legal podcast. I will be your host, and today we have a very special guest joining us, Mark Beer. Mark is here to share his insight on cutting-edge legal technology and AI in the legal world. Hello, Mark.
Rodina, it's been ages. It's lovely to see you again.
It's lovely to see you again. So, Mark, you are Mr. Law Tech.
Thank you.
You're a professor of AI and the law in Shanghai. You're a visiting fellow at Oxford University, a co-founder of Oxford's Deep Tech Dispute Resolution Lab, a faculty member of the Legal Technology and Innovation Institute, chairman of the AIFC Legal Technology Advisory Board in Kazakhstan, and a member of the UK government's Commercial Dispute Resolution Task Force, which is part of its Law Tech Delivery Panel.
And here in your kitchen, talking all things law tech and AI.
And you've spent over 20 years in the Middle East. And in those 20 years, you were named one of the top 50 most influential Brits in the UAE. You were named one of Forbes magazine top 50 most influential expats in the UAE. You were appointed an officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire by Queen Elizabeth II. And you have twice been shortlisted as UK Solicitor of the Year for in-house. All that with an even more talented wife and 5 children.
Absolutely right. Even far more talented, actually, and the kids are just magnificent too. So it's a great pleasure to be here, and feel very blessed to be able to be with you and for all the things that we've achieved in the space of AI and the law, which is now becoming, post everybody waking up to the large language models, the chat GPTs, and we're starting to now see other elements of AI encroaching in our daily lives. It's suddenly become a topic of interest, even though I've been following it now for about a decade.
Well, like you said, Mark, as anyone who is connected to a digital device, the word AI has been trending everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody is trying to find some form of way to implement it. So in the world of legal tech, what are some promising applications of AI in legal research, contract analysis, maybe predictive analytics?
All of those and more, and way more, because we're in a stage now where computers, technology, robotics, AI, whatever we want to call it, large language models, they can help us draft a contract. They can help us risk assess a contract. They can red flag a contract against any priorities that we might have. They can red flag compliance in advance. They can monitor a contract during the life cycle of the contract. And this, I think, is something where App for Legal has done a fantastic job in synthesizing the entire contract process almost in a way that won't require a lawyer unless there's a specific need to involve them. So I don't think there's any individual element of the legal process or the contracting process which won't benefit from AI, just in the same way there's probably no medical process that won't benefit from AI. But I do think we still end up with a human being talking to another human being. Let's not get onto robots talking to robots, but at the end of the day, we're going to have humans talking to humans to explain what the AI has found, whatever that might be. So I think for AI and the law, there's a limitless possibility on what it can do. And we go back to the fact that 96% of people will not use a court because they think it's only for rich and powerful people. And 84% of people won't even see a lawyer if they have a serious legal issue. Why wouldn't we ask AI on a low or no cost basis to come and help that community to receive the legal support and judicial support that they deserve?
How can AI be leveraged to streamline workflows, to elevate the decision-making process within the field of law?
In every way. In every way. There is no limit to the power of AI to support the legal profession. There is no power of AI to enhance access to justice. There's no limit on AI to make our lives better. It's absolutely the right time and the right place for AI to get involved in supporting legal communities.
Okay. And we often discuss accessibility and advantages when we talk about AI. It raises questions about equity, specifically for underprivileged communities. So can it truly bring equity given the perceived accessibility that everybody should have? And should everyone have access to AI?
Well, should everyone have access to justice? Should everyone have access to low or no cost legal advice? If we believe in a fair society, surely everybody has that right. And if they have that right, how do we deliver it? Do we deliver it as we've always delivered it? They go to a lawyer, the lawyer charges them by the hour, the lawyer writes them a letter, they don't know what to do with it. Is that the right way? Has that proven, successful? Have we got 29 million cases backlogged in India and 40 million cases in Brazil? Have we got delays of years in getting justice in many justice systems around the world? Yes, we have all of that. So the answer to the question is, why wouldn't we use AI to improve the lives of people, to speed up justice, to speed up the efficiency of the legal system? And if we take it even out of that systemic, that fairness of society, let's put it into business. The world is struggling, right? Let's be honest, the world is struggling. Barriers, boundaries, borders, and tariffs are going up. It's harder to enforce a contract cross-border than it's ever been, as far as I can remember. It's never been so hard. And the same for arbitral awards. So don't we have to use technology to try and find a better way, a fairer way to do commerce in the same way we want to use it for a fairer way to do, human interaction?
But even, wouldn't you say, even in the context of big corporations versus maybe a single lawyer or a solo lawyer in a very small company that might go up to one of those big corporations who would have maybe 50 people in-house to do the legal research and to do all of these. So if you bring AI into the question, you're kind of bringing back little bit of equity between the small lawyer who doesn't have that amount of time to maybe do the due diligence necessary. And then you have those big corporations who used to use that as an advantage to bury them in all of this legal research and all of these documents. So I would say it would bring the equity back to a certain level where it's a fairer ground for both of them to operate.
Yeah, you're so right. And if we think about, lawyers going, one after the other, right? Let's think about that scenario. It could be hostile, as in there's a dispute, or it could be positive, there's a contract being negotiated. We think that, and I think it's because we watch too much television, right? We think it's an adversarial process. We think that both clients get the best outcome if the lawyers are fighting. But the reality of life is the worst outcomes come from fighting. The best outcomes come from both sides having a level playing field of knowledge, of skill, and applying that for the interests of their clients, not in an adversarial way, but simply explaining, this is what we need. I understand that this is what you need. Can we, as lawyers, work together to find a solution? And the best lawyers in the world are not the ones that scream and shout the loudest and fight the hardest and bang their fist on the table. The best lawyers in the world are ones that go into a conversation with, what do you need to achieve and how can I help you get there? And your point, which I think is an excellent point, if I may say so, is historically a large law firm can remove the small law firm from any conversation by simply bombarding them with more information than they can cope with. Yeah. So thank goodness we now have large language models which can take huge amounts of data and analyze it and distill it in a way that the lawyer can use it effectively. So, however you look at it, whether it's balancing the legal profession, enhancing access to justice, enhancing our community, every which way AI is going to be of benefit to the system.
So we've talked about how much the field is increasingly embracing AI solutions, but we need to talk a bit about the ethical implications of incorporating it within the legal domain, particularly with regards to data privacy and accurate source citations.
Yeah, I mean, it's an important consideration, and it must be considered in the same way we must ask ourselves about the ethical implications of not using AI. What are the ethical obligations on a lawyer to use technology that makes them more accurate and more efficient? Aren't they ethically obliged to use it?
If everybody else is also on the train, I would say yes.
But someone has to get on first.
True.
So I think we're in a phase, it's a bit like, smash the spinning jenny with the Luddites. It's a little bit like when we invented the automobile, there was a rule which said you had to walk in front of it waving a red flag. Well, not the driver, obviously, but someone had to walk in front waving. We're sort of at that space we're nervous about it, so let's hold it back, let's slow it down. And people throw ethics, they throw all sorts of challenges towards it. But if it improves the situation compared to what we've got, let's do it. If it makes the situation worse than what we've got, let's not do it. This isn't about perfection being the enemy of the best. This is truly about enhancing technology. Take contracts. This is about taking the opportunity to draft, negotiate, conclude and sign, monitor a contract in a single platform like App for Legal. This is what we're talking about. Where's the ethics in not using it? As a lawyer, isn't it ethically wrong not to use a system like that? Aren't you actually exposing your client to more risk by saying, no, we'll spend 2 weeks negotiating and then we'll send a courier somewhere and that might get there or it might not, and then we'll get it back and then we'll make sure it's signed and then, well, we won't monitor it because we'll put it in the drawer. Is that ethical or historical? I'd say it's historical, but it's not ethical. AI has the ability to improve the lives of billions of people around the world, to reduce the risk of doing business and to enhance the ability to get paid. Why is it unethical to use it?
I think it's because a lot of people don't exactly know how it is used, so they're worried about their data, their privacy being invaded, of it having access into places it shouldn't have access. So it's more about ignorance in exactly how it works rather than how it could help them.
Yeah, and I get all of that, but let's go back to the world in which we live. If you want to open up a bank account, what does the bank ask you for? Can you send us a copy of your utility bill, your date of birth, a passport copy, your mother's birth certificate? You hand over a huge amount. Every time you get called by an institution, what do they say? They say, oh, Rodina, it's lovely. We're calling you on your number. Please tell us your date of birth, your mother's maiden name, your favorite color, and where you were born. This is a huge amount of personal data that on a daily basis we're handing over. We don't know who's calling us. I said the other day to one of them, I said, you're calling me on my number. You're not going to tell me why you're calling. Please tell me the date of registration of your bank. And they said, but I don't know. I said, then why should I be expected to hand over personal information about me to you on a call so you can tell me something that you've called me about? And I think we've normalized the handing over of personal data to institutions that are felt to be trusted. But look at the amount of fraud. And all of that fraud goes away if we use a platform like the App for Legal platform or any other platform which allows our data to be secure and then to confirm into the other side, yes, this is a legitimate signature, but I'm not handing over to you all the personal data behind the person that signed. So again, I totally understand why people are frightened of change. It's natural, but I don't think it's right.
And I think they don't have that much time. I think AI in specific is flying at a crazy speed. So they're either going to get on that train or it's going to pass them by.
That's right. And it will take time because the legal profession does evolve more slowly. But lawyers that use AI will outperform and be more successful and have a lower risk profile, be more compliant than lawyers that choose to do it as they've always done it.
Yeah, I agree. AI-driven contract analysis has transformed the legal landscape. In this context, how does this innovation impact both accuracy and efficiency of contract reviewing processes?
Well, we've seen research studies done where they line up lawyers to review non-disclosure agreements and identify issues within the non-disclosure agreements. And they've given an old piece of AI the same job, just review these NDAs and flag up any issues. For the lawyers, it took on average to review the NDAs an hour and a half. And they were 85% accurate, which isn't bad. So it's an hour and a half and 85% accurate across a portfolio of lawyers. The old AI, and we're talking 5-6 years ago, the old AI was 92% accurate, so more accurate, and it did the entire process in 26 seconds.
And faster, much faster.
How can that not be something that we should be embracing and utilizing? I'm not saying it becomes absolute. I'm not saying we say let AI review all our contracts and we'll kind of go with the outcome. We saw when Facebook put two AI protocols together, it went slightly haywire and invented its own language. That's a bit terrifying. But just to be able to use AI to be more accurate and deliver a better outcome in a shorter time, that has to be a positive.
I think there's the distinction here in AI and in predictive analysis and even in machine learning is when we're using it in very specific tasks, it does make the work that much faster and that much more efficient. I think that the fear here is the unknown AI factor, which, like you mentioned, what happened with Meta was it trying to do things on its own weird. So that was the fear, I think, that is driving a lot of people into shying away a bit from it or waiting and
Yeah.
seeing if it is the way to go or not.
So second mover advantage is definitely a thing. Let someone else, cut through the snow. Let someone else wade through the treacle and follow nicely behind. Definitely, there's a lot of people looking out. I spoke to a venture capitalist, and they said we always want to be first to be second, because somebody else should lose their money first, and then we'll follow in behind. And I think that's right.
It's a good model to follow.
It's
though.
a great model to follow. There will be pioneers and there will be early adopters. We've actually seen within the Act for Legal environment the number of institutions that have adopted Act for Legal, not just in legal, but in sales, in procurement, in across the board. So it isn't just the legal businesses that are using it, but the early adopters will be able to shape it much more effectively and to integrate it into their processes now, rather than in 3, 4, 5 years' time. So I think the early adopter, there is going to be an advantage, but there's an inherent risk. Fine, be the second adopter of the technology, but the second adoption is coming. I mean, we're there now. I think a law firm or an in-house legal team that isn't using AI right now is way behind a law firm or institution that is. Yeah.
What impact do you think AI will have on the role of lawyers within the future of law?
So why do people become lawyers?
Because they want to help?
Because they want to help. So if you say to somebody, we really want you to help, but could you fill out this timesheet, and could you send this invoice, and could you chase this bill, and could you manage a contract, and could you check the signatures, and one, you destroy hope within the lawyer, and two, you're not actually using them to help. You might be helping them help internally, but you're not actually getting them to help the community. So if we can introduce any technology, any platform which allows the lawyer to do what they need to do, which is to help people, that has to be a positive thing for lawyers.
Okay. And any other last words on AI in legal tech? Do you want to share?
In terms of any other words in legal tech, I think it's here. It's going to stay. We are in that phase now, I think, moving from the horse to the automobile. Feels like that phase, from the the VHS to the DVD, from the dot matrix printer to the laser printer.
Because of the fast,
feels like we're there.
Fast expansion of multiple corporations moving into it. So you're hearing about a new one coming out every couple of weeks. So that is a very fast implementation.
Plus, we've got the legacy of fintech and watching how fintech evolved and looking at the growth, not only the market growth, but also the financial investment growth and the return growth out of fintech, which was really cutting edge technology when it came in, right?
Yeah.
And now we can just see that replicated as we see exponential growth and investment into law tech and exponential returns coming out of law tech investments. That's, I think, marries beautifully with what we saw in fintech, but as you say, it's faster, it's more condensed. This isn't a trial anymore. If you're running a multi-billion-dollar revenue law firm and you can actually add another 1 or 2% to your bottom line, you would be foolish not to do it. If you're running an in-house legal team and you can take away the need for your team to be demoralized by staring at pieces of paper all day and actually have them out helping the business and reduce the risk and enhance the speed and improve the accuracy, you've got to use it. If you don't use it, you're not doing your job. You're frankly not doing your job as a lawyer.
It is the magic. It should be considered as the magic pill.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you with us today. Hopefully we'll see you in another one soon.
See you soon.